Welcome back to Mega. We are here at the Make Europe Great Again conference, and the stories that we're hearing, once again, we're so used to a battle in America, but we have no idea what is transpiring across the water. We brought to you Mega in April, and we are here again, right in the belly of the beast, the European Union, and we're here with one of the European Union members, the parliament members actually, from Romania, Cosmin Corindia. And I'm so proud of you. You've had an incredible year. We met in Romania in April, and now here you are, being a member, navigating this crazy terrain of a really globalist organization that continues to kind of pound these countries into submission. How are you doing?
Well, thank you so much for having me back, actually, because this is the second time after 1 year. Well, we are doing well. I mean, we are trying, we just put the foot into the door now, and we're trying to make ourselves heard, and we're trying to do the best we can do as an opposition for now, still as an opposition, but still.
Well, I know, but don't be so humble though, because the conservative movement swept, it's now 30% of the European Union now, right?
Right. Yes, it did, and it's growing apparently, but it's not so visible at the European level as much as national level. So if you are considering country by country in Europe, you're going to see that the movement is growing considerably. And now we are expecting the elections in Germany, where we might have a new surprise, and then in May in Romania, unfortunately. We can talk about that later, and in Poland and so on. So we are pretty sure the movement will grow. But for now, we just establish ourselves as a strong opposition, as a strong conservative and sovereignty side. And starting from here, we're starting to build.
So for people who are watching and may not be familiar, what does it mean to be a conservative in the European Parliament?
I'm in the Romanian Parliament.
Excuse me.
Yes. But the conservative means to be centrish kind of right, but right, more liberal right. In the idea that we are promoting and we are protecting the true values of the society. Our party's pillars, value pillars, are based on freedom, on belief, on family, on nationalism, like being proud of your own country and doing everything for your own country. It's a very big similitude between European view and the American view on conservative or sovereignism. A lot of people are calling us extremists, but just because we are loving our country and we want to do everything for our country, starting from our country, does not make us extremists.
Well, I mean, that message worked very well in America. Donald Trump is now the president again. How is that impacting Romania? And you guys you swept in, you have a third of the government now for conservatism. How is Donald Trump's position going to affect you in Romania? And we are going to get to the basically thrown out election in just a minute, but what kind of influence is he having here for you guys?
It's a solid move from the side of sovereignty in the way that we have now a pillar to climb on. It created a wave and a movement that it's unprecedented, and now it's already established. It's a breath of fresh air, but not in the way that we are taking a break, but in the way that it gives us oxygen to function and to move on. And his establishment as a president, his election as a president, made us believe more that we have so much power and the people have so much power that they are really able to create this for them.
I mean, because you guys, it's for those listening and don't understand what it's been like to be in Romania under a president who literally used his authority to raid your offices just days before the election, raid your offices, take your stuff. You had members of your party picked up by law enforcement, and this is just a few months ago.
Yes, 2024 it was crazy. We had 4 sets of elections, or we were supposed to have 4 sets of elections because one was interrupted and cancelled at a later time. But in spring, in June, actually, at the beginning of the summer, we had these elections for the European Parliament and for local authorities. And 3 days before that Sunday, on 9th of June, our colleagues faced some kind of, I don't even know, some kind of dirty game, if you want, because even today we don't know the reason why they were picked up from the streets, why their phones were confiscated or their laptops. We don't have that information. So it's proved that they really wanted to intimidate us and maybe manipulate a little bit the public opinion in the way that, oh, maybe there is something wrong with them because the authorities did that. So that was in June. And from that point on, we started to build up again. And we got a very good score in the first round of the presidential elections, with our president coming very close to the second round. And we had this new wave called Mr. Georgescu. Maybe you heard of him. Coming out of nowhere.
Yeah,
nobody
incredible.
saw him, no poll saw him. No one poll saw that guy coming up so fast. And then it was reflected in the parliamentarian elections when we got a very solid score, maybe the biggest of our recent history, because we are not such an old party.
I was going to say, you've only been around for just a couple of years.
4 years, 5 years now.
It's absolutely incredible.
Right.
And that probably is unprecedented growth to have a party of 4 years old sweep now 30% of your parliament.
And,
it's incredible.
And more than that, you have to imagine that 85% of my colleagues, including myself, we were never involved in politics before. So this is like a real fresh air, a breath of fresh air we got into the parliament, and this is where we found the old dinosaurs and all the people, all parliamentarians still sitting there after 30-something years. And we are trying to revigorate the entire domestic policy, but it wasn't that much yet. We didn't get that much into action yet because it was Christmas and the elections were just before the Christmas, and then all the focus on this was on this cancellation of the second round of the presidential elections.
Yeah.
So we are still there, but I'm pretty sure the domestic policy we're going to be revigorated by our presence there.
So you said you're not a politician, you haven't been elected to office before, but you've had an interest in Donald Trump. And can you tell me a little bit about that, stemming back from your visits to America in 2014?
Yeah, well, I used to live there. I went to school there. I went to school there in Florida. I went to school there in California. And I've been involved in the human rights movement. And in the human rights movement, I had many chances to stay, to have different talks with different people involved in the process, including in DC. And there I remember a very clear discussion we had on the out-of-the-box guy who should come to DC and save it, because everyone was getting tired of the same politics, the same, modus operandi, and everything being the same and going in the same direction, regardless if it was a Democrat or Republican. And that idea of having someone coming out of the system and revolutionizing the DC apparatus, because there is a real apparatus in DC working with the lobbyists and everyone. So that idea actually came alive in 2016, 2 years later. But everyone was so excited. I'm pretty sure that a lot of Democrats from DC voted with Trump in 2016 because of this fresh perspective which came to DC, which it didn't happen before. And starting from there, we all know what happened.
Yeah. Well, you've brought that same vigor. You guys are bringing that same energy, not just to Romania, but to this whole region through the mega conferences. What do you hope to get out of mega? What do you want to see happen for Europe at large?
This is the second edition of the conference, and it's growing like us. We actually receive more friends from all over the world. We have friends coming from South America. We have a lot of friends coming from Europe. So our roots are spreading in Europe, and we find the same people thinking the same way like we do. And this is very good for us because it gives us more strength at the end of the day that we can continue, and we have some kind of allies around Europe in building this sovereignist wave, and it's working. It's working very well. And now the President Simeon just tried to encourage everyone to have a kind of a mega event in their own countries, and that would be beautiful. That would be just beautiful, mainly because this is a wonderful opportunity to meet, firstly for networking, to meet so many sovereignists and conservative people all over the world, and secondly to learn from each other, because we need to learn from each other so many things. I mean, what happened in Romania in December is creating a very dangerous precedent, and our colleagues from other countries, especially the ones who are going to have elections this year, should be very careful, because that could happen to them as well.
Germany is facing a very critical election.
Exactly.
Soon. I
Yes.
can imagine
Yes.
the same.
With AfD. Yeah. So we are in the same position more or less, and this is where the comparatism is coming between the U.S. and Europe, because at the end of the day we are all struggling to show the people that there is another way of governance. There is another way of getting back to our original values and roots, and talking to people and belonging to people and putting people first, America first. And this is something which is it's not that easy to achieve, but it takes a little bit of time. Mainly because obviously the globalist wave was so strong built in the last years, in the last tens of years, and it's very hard to actually get rid of it immediately. But slowly, I'm pretty sure this wave will trash it out.
Kuzmin, you're still new to politics. Are you glad you did it?
I'm coming from after an experience of 20 plus years of international institutions all over the world, and coming back home for me was amazing. And secondly, the reason why I came home was because of this movement. So I'm very enthusiastic. I am very hopeful that it was a good move, but not only for me, but that I can help. That's the reason I actually came back, to help. And I'm doing my best.
It's such an interesting thing, isn't it, that to love your country more, to love where God literally placed you at your birth, to love that more than and want the best for your nation, what is in your best interest should be considered somehow hateful or with malice, or be looked at with such scrutiny and disdain. I just find it absolutely incredible. You're giving people permission here, though. You're giving people permission through Mega. How does that make you feel? You have a child also. You're raising a family, and you're thinking about their future. If you don't, what do you think about this posture, kind of this woke posture that has been allowing our children to believe it just doesn't matter? It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter. You can just go anywhere. You can start a family with anyone. What does that mean for you in the long game of restoring the glory of Romania?
I think everything comes from the education we receive, and now as parents, the education we offer to our children. I believe that if we have a strong conservative education with strong values and beliefs, sharing that with our children, that regardless of the opportunities, regardless of the views, regardless of the teachings in the school and the openness and everything else, I think that will stay with the child. I'm looking at my children, I'm very proud to see that, they're speaking Romanian, even they're living in Germany, they're very Romanian in thinking and in approaching different situations. So it's important for us to try to send this message forward to our children, but in a positive way. Romania, unfortunately, is one of the biggest exporters of people in Europe. We have the biggest wave of migrants in Europe, in Western Europe in particular. I am calling it the second Romania, because it's almost the size of a country if you are thinking about 6 million people. So 6 million people wanting somehow left home, not necessarily by choice, but by voluntary choice, not being pushed somehow, in particularly economically, to do that. And now they're living in foreign societies, raising Romanian children in foreign societies, putting them in schools and being exposed to all these Western values which in a core they are very positive, but with this new wave of interpretation and this liberty, or under the stigmata of freedom, they are becoming very dangerous.
Yeah.
And a lot of Romanians I met abroad, including in the US, they are not happy living there, but they want to create back home an environment, a secure environment for them to be able to return. And this is it's one of our main priorities, for making Romanians to come back home and start building our country again. and make it strong again. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult for them to convince, and now they are almost in the second generation. And once they have children, most of the people do not want to come back. However, that's the message. The Romanian children still carry the values of their parents as much as they have it, and I believe this is a very important fact.
What do you want people to know about Mega and what your goal really is here, not just for Romania, but for the 33 plus countries that are represented?
We are trying to show the world that we are actually sharing the same values and principles. We are coming from the same gods. We are educated in the same way. We are viewing the world in the same way, and I think it's very important for us to stay together, to create this unity between different nations of Europe, as the European Union actually initially was intended to do, but which is not doing it now anymore. And starting from this unity created somehow to address our own problems in our own time, steps and pace. A pace which will allow us to, yes, we are part of a community, of a larger community, European community, but on the same time we have our own needs. Our own needs, which needs to be addressed first, and then we are looking at Europe as a whole.
I hope that individualism will remain alive and well here, or at least be restored, I guess is what we're after. The individual matters, self-determination matters, production matters, all of these things. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless you. Thank you.
And friends, we'll be right back. We are here at the Make Europe Great Again conference, and you're not going to want to miss a single one of these interviews. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Mega Make Europe Great Again, hosted by our great friends from Romania, George Simeon and the AUR. Again, when I very first met you, it was a no-brainer for me, someone who has literally put his life on the line to stand up for his country, and here you are. You know, the coalitions that you're building, the relationships that you have now. Did you ever imagine that you would go from being just that protester leading your local people to now being an international figure in this fight?
We were forced to get in this battle because everything went crazy with our country, against Christianity, against family values, against anything we stood up for. The first time you took an interview with me in CPAC, I said I was arrested. I told you my life story, and the Romanian globalist media tried to smear me, tried to say, okay, Simeon was in prison, he is like a hero in the States. But this actually helped lots of Romanians see that we are no pro-Russian agents, that we go to Washington, that we want to create a free world like we learned and like we saw when we were in kindergarten, when we were in primary school. We looked towards America like a model of democracy and freedom. And I was last week at the inauguration of President Trump, and for the first time after a long period, I could enjoy myself when I heard the speech when President Trump said, from now on in America, we only have two genders, male or female. This is good because I see a victory, and this is good because I see the woke propaganda being defeated in America, where it started, and here in the old continent, in Europe. So today I'm happy to have so many American, Canadians, and friends from abroad coming to mega event in the European Parliament, sharing ideas, sharing experiences. We can grow from hearing each other out. There's a big appetite for debate, for discussions, and we will debate between ourselves, and then we will go in our countries to spread these ideas. I think it's wonderful.
It is. It's really beautiful. I think in spite of all of this good news, there's been some very disturbing events in Romania. The captive state of Romania, as you called it. Can you explain what's gone on there with the presidential elections?
I don't think anyone believed the fight will be easy and we will just win, and they will agree to let the power from their hands. We have been a captured state since the revolution in 1989. Some neo-communists took over the country. They said we have free elections, we have democracy, but turns out that we lived a lie. We didn't have free elections. They were letting only people from their group be a candidate and winning. We had a big surprise with an independent sovereignist candidate winning the election, first round, and they annulled the second round. They annulled the elections without presenting any proof, without presenting any logic why they did this. They say the Constitutional Court decided, but our Constitutional Court is not formed out of real judges. It's formed out of members, some of them former politicians, who don't have anything to do with a judge.
You are an EU member state.
Yes.
What has the EU done to help correct? Literally, they threw out a presidential election. I mean, that is outrageous behavior in a nation that claims to want a democracy. The EU says they're promoting democracy, but they've allowed this president of Romania to throw out your election.
They allowed the dictatorship of Klaus Werner Iohannis, our German president, to continue.
A German president of Romania. Got it.
Yeah. You can imagine.
Yeah.
We are like a colony, and they didn't do anything because Ursula von der Leyen is also German, and because the globalist forces are losing ground in Europe and in the world. We have been imprisoned, we have been detained 6 months ago before the European elections in order to smear us. They took our phones and laptops from my campaign crew, and after 6 months they still didn't return it or didn't do anything with those devices. We live in a captured state, we live in a police state, and somebody would argue that the European Union institutions talk about the rule of law and about democracy only when it's convenient for them. When it's not, they are imposing a dictatorship. So we are trying to fight. We have an opinion from the Venice Commission that said it's not possible to annul elections like this. We have repeated the elections in the 4th and 18th of May. We don't know if they will let Georgescu be a candidate, even if he is not forbidden to elect and be elected. And we are gathering now European and international support. This is one part of our purpose here.
I think it's very bold, and I'm curious what propelled you to hold the event here in the EU building in Brussels, Belgium, an organization that, again, has not done their job. They promote equity and fairness, and yet they've allowed this tyranny in Romania.
I believe that we should take back Capitol Hill, that we should take back institutions after institutions, and we must fight in order that this happens. This is why we are here in the European Parliament, because we have members of the European Parliament, and we want to, in the future, to form a majority of free states that compose the European Union, but that know the value of transatlantic relations and of the free world. This is why now the fight from Washington moved here to Brussels. Europe can go in two ways. Either accepts the Trump wave and returns to the people and returns to the values that were projected when first the European Union was created, or it will be a creature of globalists and of Soros, which will try to fight with the United States of America.
If you do not win, if there is not an election in May, if Georgescu is not able to even be a candidate, that's even up for debate whether or not he can be a candidate. What do you think will happen in Romania? And again, just pointing out, you're here leading amongst 33 and more countries who are seeking a voice. They want a seat at the table. These are people that are powerful in their own country, but they are not being supported in this, if you want to call it the Trump agenda. I agree with that, but it's liberty and freedom and self-determination. If you are not allowed to have an election in May, what do you think will be the next steps for Romanians?
How do you get out of a dictatorship? Does anyone has an answer for this? I don't think there's a correct answer. We are facing an ongoing coup d'etat, and we are fighting this coup d'etat. We are fighting the dictatorship, and hopefully we will win. We tried everything from petitions to big rallies around Bucharest organized by us. And we will try to take power, and hopefully they will accept finally the democratic transition of power.
We'll have to see. You have a new baby.
Yes.
You're a father. You've been fighting for this country. Many people would use that as an opportunity to step away. Why do you persist?
Because I'm very insistent. Because I'm a fighter. Because it's. For me, it would be a humiliation, and I would be disappointed in myself if I don't fight for the future of my baby boy. So we all must fight for our children, for their future, for normality. This is why we will persevere, and we will win at the end, I'm sure of it.
I feel confident as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you're doing, George Simeon. And we will be right back. Thank you for joining us here at the Make Europe Great Again conference.